Good morning and welcome. We're going to get started in just a second for the California Relief Grant Program. Just want to let a few more people be able to get into the program itself. Okay, we're going to get started. Welcome again to the California Relief Grant Program. It's the state of California's $500 million small business grant program. We're going to go through the program itself, talk you through all the pieces to it, and then try to answer as many questions as we can. So feel free to ask as many questions as you want. If you were on this yesterday, it will be very similar. This is pretty much the same process and program that we ran yesterday as well. I see some of those questions already. My name is Mike Daniel. I'm the Regional Director for the California Small Business Development Center Network in Orange County and Inland Empire. I also have my colleague and counterpart in Northern California, Scott Rogowski, who will introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Rogowski, Northern California SBDC Small Business Development Center Network. Excited to be here today. And again, what Mike was saying, so this is the same presentation that we gave yesterday. So if you joined yesterday, it's the same information. If you did join yesterday, and you don't want to hear it all over again, please sign off because we have overabundance of responses today that want to get on the call and learn this information. Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, please put your questions in the Q&A box. We're monitoring that as we go, but let's get started. And then we'll come back and try to answer as many questions as we can. This is also being recorded, so we will send this directly to you. So let's get into it. So, let me just quickly go through the agenda. So today we're going to talk about the grant itself and how it started, the eligibility requirements, the ineligible businesses and what would make you ineligible, what the grant funding can be used for. We're going to go through the application itself, required documents that you're going to need. We're going to recap all that, and then we're going to come back and try to answer as many questions as we possibly can over the next hour. So let's get started. So Scott?
Yeah, so small business development centers, SBDCs, as you can see on here, so Mike is from Southern California, he's from actually Orange County in the Empire area. I'm from Northern California. I'm in Sacramento, but we have 5 state networks throughout the state of California. And small business development centers, we are funded by SBA, Small Business Administration. So we're federally funded. We're also state funded by the Governor's Office of Economic Development, which is called GoBiz. And because of this funding, we come to small business owners at no cost. We are the largest technical assistance provider in the US, and the services that we provide are all across the board for startups existing, for expansion, anywhere from e-commerce, manufacturing, restaurants. We have a lot of people that are struggling with lease rents right now, so we're able to help you negotiate and get in there. And right now we're really focused on these disaster loans, PPP, EIDL, and now this grant program from the state of California. So we can provide all this to you at no cost, and we're here for you. We have advisors, boots on the ground, ready to work with you. Thank you.
Perfect. So this is the site that you need to know, and my suggestion would be to write this down. Well, like I said, we'll also send you this recording and the PowerPoint presentation so you'll have it, but it's the careliefgrant.com is the place to go to when you're ready to fill out your application. We'll walk you through it at the end of this webinar. The application itself is not up yet, and so it won't go live until December 30th. And so there's 2 different rounds in this small business grant. The first round will start Wednesday, December 30th at 6 a.m. and will run through Friday, January 8th at 11:59 p.m. So it is not first come, first serve. You're going to hear us say that a lot. Again, it is not first come, first serve. So take your time, do it right. We're going to try to walk you through everything you need. Just so you know, Lendistry is the administrator running this grant program. And so they're still working on the application itself. So we won't be able to share screenshots today, but as soon as we get them, we'll send them to you, and 2, we'll have a training on how to fill in the application. But I'll walk you through some of what's going to be there shortly.
All right, so the first slide that we're going to go over real quick, we've had some people that have raised their hand and said that they received an email that this was canceled and that they're not able to attend. That is not what the email says. The email says that if you are not able to actually get into this, that we will, there's some information in the email and that we'll be able to connect with you later. But we're hoping that we do not exceed our capacity on this call. But if we do, please look at that email. There's a lot of great information on that email that was sent by Hannah. So about the program is a $475 million program. So that's how much funds are available. It's administered through the California Office of Small Business Advocate, the state of California, and is just distributed by Lendistry. Lendistry is the lender. They are the intermediary. They're working with certain 30 parties to get this money out to you as a small business. So there are 2 rounds of distributions with monies. Round 1 is they're essentially breaking up the 475 into 2 parts. So they're both the same amount of monies, 237.5 million, round 1 and round 2. We're talking about round 1 today. And that launches December 30th, which we'll go over. Mike already mentioned it, but we'll go over multiple times. So the applications are not open today. What we are doing today from now to the 30th is kind of going through the process and telling you what's going on and to be prepared. So the program is not a first come, first served basis, which we will continue to say. The application portal for each round will open for applicants for a certain amount of time. And that is for for-profits and nonprofit businesses. Grants are available up to $25,000 per the eligibility of a business. And that is based on your yearly gross revenue, which is anywhere from a minimum of $1,000 to a maximum of $2.5 million. Home-based businesses are eligible. Home-based businesses are eligible. If you look at the chart on here, it breaks it down as to what type of grant and how much you qualify for. So if you make $1,000 to $100,000, that's a $5,000 grant that you can apply for. $100,000 to $1 million is $15,000 grant. And then $1 million to $2.5 million is a $25,000 grant. So we received a lot of questions on where do you find that number? Where does it come from? All that great stuff. We are going to cover that through the next slides.
So what determines by the states, and keep in mind, this is state funding. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware, this is not CARES Act funding. These aren't federal dollars. These are state dollars. And so they've determined what is an eligible small business and what is an eligible nonprofit. So an eligible small business means a sole proprietor, independent contractor, 1099, for-profit business entities with C Corps, S Corps, LLCs, or partnerships that have a yearly gross revenue of no more than 2.5 million and no less than $1,000 on their 2019 tax returns, or if you don't have 2019 tax returns, on your 2018 tax returns, right? So again, if you're going to submit your 2019 tax returns, if you don't have 19, then it's got to be 18. And you're going to show that you did at least $1,000 in gross revenue and no more than 2.5 million. For a nonprofit, it is exactly the same, except it's coming off of your 990. You have revenue no more than 1,000 or 2.5 million and no less than $1,000. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide.
All right, so for eligibility requirements, again, we are going to do our best we're going to go through this information. We're going to kind of read it verbatim. It's a lot of text, but it's a lot of information for you to know. We are at 115 questions already, so we are going to do our best. This ends at noon. It is being recorded. We are going to send it out, but we are going to do our best to try to get to the most common questions that are asked. So the eligibility requirements, so you must meet the definition of an eligible small business, and we're going to go through that. So active businesses or nonprofits, Mike went over what an active business or a nonprofit is, that has been operating since at least June 1st of 2019. So if you started your business in 2020, you're not eligible for this grant. You're only eligible for this grant if you started your business after June 1st of 2019. So startups after June 1st of 2019 do not qualify, unfortunately. Businesses must be impacted by COVID-19 with health and safety restrictions such as business interruptions or business closures due to the pandemic. Applicants will be required to certify eligibility including the grant will be used for specific applicants, and that such applicant is the business with the highest revenue. So we're going to kind of go over what that means a little bit later if you have multiple businesses or locations. Applicants, right here, multiple businesses, entities, franchises, locations are not eligible for multiple grants and are only allowed to apply once using their eligible small business with the highest revenue. So we're going to go into that more and more. There's a couple things we're going to repeat. We're going to repeat when the application is set for round one. It's not first come, first served basis. And if you have multiple businesses and multiple locations, you can only apply once for the business that has the highest revenue. So businesses must be able to provide organization documents and an acceptable form of government issued photo ID. So for revenue verification, where do you get that number from the 1,000 to the 2.5 million? Well, depending on your entity specificity and on your IRS tax form, whether you're 1120 corporate C or S, line 1C, if you're a single member LLC or a Schedule C, so for sole proprietors, it's line 3, line 1C for 1065s, you know who you are, and then line 1C and line 2 for Schedule F and farming businesses, line 12 for 990s for nonprofits, and then Schedule E is not eligible. So that's another thing that will continue to get repeated.
Okay. So now we're going to go to ineligibility and what would deem you ineligible for this grant. So if you have a business that doesn't have a physical location in the state of California, if your nonprofit is not registered as a 501c3 or C6, if you are a government entity other than a Native American tribe, which is an eligible business or nonprofit, businesses primarily engaged in political or lobbying activities, passive businesses, and we'll discuss what that means, and investment companies, churches and other religious companies or religious institutions. And I did see a lot of questions about churches that are running schools. And so we've asked the question to the state and to Lendistry. So we'll get information. That hasn't been determined yet if you're eligible or not. So again, if you happen to have a church that runs a school, you may be eligible. We don't know for sure yet. So we do need to, we're waiting to get clarification on that one. Financial businesses primarily engaged in the business of lending, affiliated companies, businesses engaged in any activity that is illegal under federal, state, or local law. Some things like CBD, strip clubs, gambling, liquor stores. Unfortunately, if you happen to be a corner store, perfectly fine. But if you are a liquor store only, then you'll be deemed ineligible. Businesses of prurient sexual nature, business engaged in socially undesirable activity or activity that may be considered predatory, businesses that restrict patronage for any reason, speculative businesses. And let me just go back to undesirable activity or predatory. So like payday, advance check cashing companies, things like that is kind of what the state is determining and Lendistry is determining ineligible.
All right, so eligible and ineligible uses of funds. So like how you can use the money, how you can spend the money. As you know, for those of you that received EIDL and PPP, this is something that comes up quite often. So eligible uses of funds, so only those costs incurred due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the health and safety restrictions, such as business interruptions or business closures incurred as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The following are eligible: all employee expenses, including payroll costs, healthcare benefits, paid sick, medical, or family leave, and insurance premiums. Working capital overhead, including rent, utilities, mortgage, principal, and interest payments, excluding mortgage payments, debt payments, principal, and interest incurred before March 1st of 2020. Costs associated with reopening business operations after being fully or partially closed due to state-mandated COVID-19 health and safety restrictions and business closures. Costs associated with complying with COVID-19 federal, state, or local guidelines for reopening and required safety protocols, including but not limited to equipment, plexiglass, barriers, outdoor dining, PPE supplies, testing, and employee training expenses. Any other COVID-19 related expenses not already covered for the same period through grants, forgivable loans, or other relief through federal, state, county, or city programs. So ineligible. So as you can see, there's lots of eligible funds. So the ineligible funds, use of funds, are human resource expenses for state share of Medicaid, employee bonuses or severance pay, taxes, legal settlements, personal expense, or other expenses related unrelated to COVID-19 impacts, expenses for repairs from damages already covered by insurance, and reimbursement to donors for donated items or services.
Okay, perfect. So, and we know we're giving you a lot of information. We're going to get to a lot of your questions in a minute. I see as we're looking through them, they're going to be answered. So we kind of gave you, what the grant is all about. We talked about if you're eligible or ineligible. And I know there's probably some people that are trying to figure that out right now. And then we talked about what you can use the funds for. Now we're going to talk about the application process itself. Okay, so as we get into it, so there's 2 rounds to this grant program. So first one starts December 30th and will close on January 8th. The second round is still to be determined, but keep in mind, all these funds need to be out to businesses by March 31st. So it's a 3-month program. Now, if you happen, what we want is for everybody to apply in round 1. So if you don't happen to be selected in round 1, you'll automatically be put in round 2 if you're an eligible business. So there's 2 different rounds. And if you submit again in the first round and you're not selected, you're automatically put into round 2. So we want you to get into round 1. And like we said earlier, this is not first come, first serve. So make sure that you do everything correct so that you will be eligible if you meet all that criteria. So here's the dates, so again, opens December 30th. It actually opens at 6 a.m. I know they put 8 a.m. and it will close at 11:59 on Friday, January 8th. And they will start notifying people of approval starting on January 13th. So with that, there are 2 stages to this grant process. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the 2 stages. So stage 1 is what you need to know right now to apply. And then stage 2 is if you are selected. Scott, I'll let you go through this, but just want to make sure you understand. We're just focused on stage 1, which is the application. Stage 2 is if you are approved, like on the January 13th date or beyond, then you will submit all the documents for stage 2.
Yeah, exactly. So stage 1 is just applying, going through the application. There are several different ways that you could find the application. You can find it on Lendistry's website. You can find it on the state of California's website. You can find it on all the partners' websites, which all that will be submitted to you so that you can have that. SBDCs, we have it on our sites and all the other partners. So you have to complete a grant application made available through an online portal by Lendistry. So the portal is run and processed through Lendistry. So Lendistry, again, is the intermediary lender that is essentially having the funds go from the state of California to Lendistry to you. So you upload selected financial and organizational documents and self-certify the accuracy information by signing an application certification. So there's certain particulars on the application that you have to really pay attention to as far as like submitting it or putting the word yes, Y-E, yes. There's certain particulars that we're going to go over next week that you have to pay attention to or it will not be submitted. So the following information is required from all applicants in stage 1. So a copy of the signed certification from referenced above, the most recent tax return files. So whether that's 2018 or 19 for you, the most recent filed is what they're going to take, and you have to provide that electronically through either a PDF or a JPEG. We're here to help you with all that. Sometimes it's confusing on how to do that. So you have to also turn in an acceptable form of government issued photo ID, provided in electronic form as JPEG or PDF. Acceptable evidence of minimum gross annual revenue of no less than $1,000 per year. So we talked about that, like where to find that. And if you're not sure how to find that on your tax document, I'm receiving some questions on where to find that for a nonprofit and for different entities. We are here to help you with that. We would just need access to your taxes, and then we can help you find that number. So that's stage 1. So that's just applying. Stage 2 is a little bit more in depth, like what Mike was saying. So if you are accepted as an awardee, like they are going to award the grant to you, then stage 2 would be for you. So there's additional documents required in stage 2. So once you're selected for funding, you'll need to send in a copy of the official filing with the California Secretary of State, which must be active if applicable for local municipality for your business, such as one of the following, which must be provided in electronic format is PDF or JPEG, and that's your articles of incorporation, certificate of organization, fictitious name statement, government issued business license for sole proprietors without fictitious names statements. For eligible nonprofit entity applicants, a copy of the entity's most recent IRS tax exemption letter, and then verification of bank account via electronic registration or other approved review process. So there's certain things that you can submit. Actually, you can pretty much upload anything, but there's certain things that they're really looking for, and that's why we're here to talk to you. We're going to get more strict and detailed into that as we move from here to December 30th.
Yeah, perfect. And let me there's a couple questions around documentation and what documents you upload. So you're right. If you're not incorporated, you don't have articles of incorporation, a city business license, a seller's permit, a DBA or EIN, fictitious business statement, a lot of these things will qualify. And if you happen to not fit any of these, Lendistry is willing to work with you to figure out what you can provide to make sure that you're, an eligible, legitimate business. And so just in case you happen to not see a bullet point, if you don't fit any of those, we're still working with them to figure out if there's other types of forms that they'll allow. And we just have to get a list of those. Okay. So moving on to, how they're going to determine this. And so Lendistry has created a proprietary kind of scorecard of what they're looking at. So everyone will submit, and keep in mind, there's 4.2 million businesses, another millions nonprofits that are eligible for this grant program, and roughly 475 million. So not everybody is going to get funding. We want to give everybody the best opportunity to apply and to put you as far, get you into this process, and then we'll let it kind of fall where it falls. But these are the four kind of ways that they're going to determine where everybody fits. So first criteria is businesses located in areas that have been most impacted by COVID-19. And the second one is business impacted the most financially based on gross revenue losses. So part of the application is going to ask you, what you did in 2020 or where you're at. And so it'll ask you a question of, what have your losses been? And I don't know whether they're going to base it off a percentage or just total dollar amount. Some of these things are outside of our knowledge, and it is a proprietary piece that they're using. And then also certain impacted industries, including retail, food, hospitality, personal service, beauty salons, spas, barbershops, gyms, right? All those that have been closed and impacted dramatically. And then the last qualifier is underserved small business groups. So women-owned, minority, people of color, veteran. If you happen to be low to moderate income, you're in a rural community. These are all factors that play into the algorithm and the scorecard that they use to rank your business versus all the other businesses applying for this. And again, we don't have the insight as to what that is, but these are all the factors that weigh on your application because we know that it's not going to be, not everybody's going to be able to get funding. We wish that was the case, but because it's not, these are the factors that they're using to qualify people. So.
All right. So notification of funding. So thank you very much, Mike. I've been just like Mike. So as I talk and Mike talks, we're just trying to go back and forth with all these questions, and it's easy to get sucked in. There's over 350 questions in there. So we're doing our best to kind of answer them. And it would be best if you waited almost towards the end, because we're going to answer most of these questions. So what we went over is pretty much all entities are valid to apply. So sole proprietors, 1099 contractors, home-based businesses, Schedule C, 1065, 1120S, 990s for nonprofits. You're all eligible to apply. We're going to go in through some FAQs of who is not eligible, but for the most part, all sole proprietors, all those are okay to apply. So when will you find out if you received an award? So you'll be notified directly by email if you are approved for an award, waitlisted, or not selected. So what that means is you are going to get notified regardless of what happened in the application. If you were not selected, if you're put on a waitlist possibly means that you would go into round 2, or you were offered an award, like you were granted the award, and then you would go to stage 2 where you have to do all those documents. So Lendistry intends to send several approval notifications for the first round weekly, starting on or around January 13th. So please add Lendistry to your safe sender list in your email, and check your spam for email messages from Lendistry. Once notified of approval, your application will be subject to additional verification requirements before grant funds will be dispersed. It is also recommended that you allow Lendistry to send you messages via text. This will be requested during the application process. So Lendistry, again, they are the lender that is the intermediary from the state of California. State of California has the funds. They're letting Lendistry as a third party be the intermediary to get it to you. And then we are the partners that are here to help you with the application process and your financials.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go through a couple of tips, and I'll just go through these three, Scott, and then we'll get into the some FAQs that we know people are asking. First tip is when you apply, Lendistry has done this 10 other times. They did it for the entire state of Pennsylvania and several other states, counties, cities. And so they found greatest success for those businesses or those applications that come through Google Chrome. Others may cause some issues as you're submitting. So if you have the ability to, if you already have Google Chrome, they suggest that you apply through that. If you don't, we'll send this out with the link so that you can download Google Chrome. There's no cost to it, but you'll have better success if you download Google Chrome and put your application in through that web browser. If you need some help, we can definitely hold another webinar on that and how to do that. Tip number 2, acceptable email addresses. When you fill in the application, make sure that you give them an email address that you see every day that you answer. Don't give them one that's like info@mycompany.com or contact or no reply. They won't send it to those. So it needs to be an active email address that you get to your personal side. Even if it's to your business, that's perfectly fine. They just don't want to see some generic email address because they had a lot of issues with that. And once they send it out, if you're not answering back, they give you a short period of time to do that. So, and then the last one is make sure that you scan your documents properly. It is your full tax return. So I know I've seen that question a few times. So your full tax return, and it's your business tax return, unless you're a 1040, right? Then you're gonna send in your whole 1040, not just your Schedule C, but everything. But it's your business tax return. They don't need both if you're an S Corp, an LLC, a C Corp. A couple ways, if you don't have access to a scanner, you definitely can do it off of your mobile as well. These are 2 different places, Genius Scan or Adobe Scan, and you can download, again, free software. None of this should cost you money. Our services don't cost. People should not be charging you money to help you fill out the application. All of this should be at no cost. Okay, so just make sure that you're aware of that. You don't pay money to do any of this. And then acceptable electronic submissions. So you are going to upload your tax returns. At some point, if you're selected, you're going to upload their business license, articles of incorporation, things like that. On the left-hand side is what it should look like. On the right-hand side is what they won't accept, right? So you shouldn't take a picture off of your phone that's done on your countertop. You shouldn't hold it up, right? It should be a professional scanning scanned document. If you don't have access to do that, I know libraries are tough to go to these days. So maybe you have somebody else that can help you with this. I know like in Southern California where I am, you could go to like a UPS store, FedEx, Kinko's, you go to some other places. If you happen to be close to where we are in our office, we can definitely help you with that. But just make sure that you're doing this correctly. Okay, so with that, we're going to get into a lot of the questions you guys are asking right now. So these are just going to be a lot of random FAQs, but they should answer a lot of the questions that you're going with, that you're asking. So Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. So real quick before we get to this, there's some FAQs in here that I keep seeing, multiple over again. So if you got money from any city or county grant throughout the state of California, you still qualify for this grant. If you got money from PPP and EIDL, you still qualify for this grant. So will you be notified if you're not selected? Yes, you will. You'll be notified directly by email if you are approved for an award, waitlisted, or not selected. So please add Lendistry. Again, Lendistry is the lender that is the intermediary from the state that is giving this money to you. So please add Lendistry to your safe sender list in your email. Check your spam, check everything for email messages from Lendistry.
Okay. What information are you pulling from my bank? So in stage 2, if you happen to be selected, you will give your bank information, as this funding will be ACH'd directly into your account. They are not pulling credit. This is not a loan. This is a grant. So they're not checking credit score. I know that a couple people asked that question. But what they are pulling is to make sure that you have a current legitimate bank account. What they, as you've seen, if you watch the news enough, you've seen fraud with money going into accounts that aren't even legitimate bank accounts. So they're going to want to see that this is your bank account, and they're also going to want to see that this account is being used, right? So if you haven't had any activity in this account over the last 90 to 120 days, they will not put money into it. They are using technology operated by Visa to make sure of that and make sure, all the things that they're checking. But that's what they're doing with your bank account. They're going to put the money directly into it. That's why they will need it. In the first stage of the application, they will not ask for it. It's in the second stage when if you've been awarded the grant, then they will ask you for your bank account information.
All right, so I have a franchise business with multiple locations. Can I apply for assistance for each location? So we kind of went over this. This is another one of those questions that's going to come up a lot. It is not first come, first served basis. Not everyone that applies will get awarded, but you will be notified if you're awarded or not selected or waitlisted. So if you have multiple franchises or multiple locations, can you apply for each location? And the answer is no. So this is very different from PPP where you were able to, and this is very different from EIDL where you were able to. So this is not PPP or EIDL. So you're not able to apply for multiple locations or multiple franchises. So owners of multiple businesses and franchises or locations will be considered for only one grant and are required to apply for their business with the highest revenue. So it's tricky. Maybe some of you that have multiple locations apply for one tax return for all locations. So that's a great question. I saw it come up in these questions here. I don't know how to answer that. Mike might be able to, or we won't know until next week. So applicants will need to certify that the application is being submitted on behalf of the applicant by the majority owner of the applicant, and then that applicant is the owner's business with the highest revenue as a condition to receiving the grant. Right.
So a lot of the questions that as Scott just alluded to, like maybe I did $3 million, but that was in 3 different locations and I just file under one corporation. We are waiting to get information back. So as soon as we do, we'll pass it off to everybody, but that is a big question for a lot of people on this, a lot of the questions. So we will get you that information. At the moment, I would say just plan on applying because, we want to make sure that at least you're in the process. And they will have an answer before the application opens. Again, as Scott said, if you receive PPP, EIDL, a county grant, a city grant, a private philanthropic grant, you're still eligible. It doesn't matter what grant you receive, you're still eligible for this grant as well. You just want to make sure that you're going to use the funding from this on something other than what you use those funds for. Okay, so.
All right, this is similar to what you just said too. Our recipients of county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, okay, that one comes up a lot. So PPP, EIDL, city, county grants, if you received them, you can still get this money. So do you have to pay taxes on the grant proceeds? Yes, you do have to pay taxes on the grant proceeds. Prior to February 15th, 2022, you will receive tax information related to the grant proceeds, which you will need to report on your tax returns. So you will be responsible to pay taxes on this. Please consult with a tax professional for additional information.
Okay. I do not own a computer. How can I apply? The grant application is mobile friendly, so you can definitely apply off of your phone. And those are really the 2 different ways that at the moment that are being pushed out. If there's other ways, we'll definitely let you know, but computer is obviously the best choice if you don't have that. Mobile, it's definitely mobile friendly. So you can definitely apply off of that as well.
So if you lost physical verification paperwork, so if you lost your physical verification paperwork, can you send a screenshot from the site? For example, the Secretary of State screenshot. So unfortunately, no screenshots will be accepted. So screenshots will not be accepted as a form of a receipt for your documentations. We recommend contacting the California Secretary of State. Their website's here, and you will have access to this website. For information on how to obtain copies for certain documents. So you will not be able to, if you do take a screenshot and you do submit it, it will not accept it. So it will kick it back and you'll have to resubmit it.
Do I need to provide receipts of my purchases? You do not need to supply any receipts. You do need to keep record of them for 3 years, but you do not need to supply them for this grant in stage 1 or stage 2, but keep them in case they come back to you and need them.
So I'm undocumented. Can I apply for a grant? Yes, non-US owners can apply for a grant, but will be subject to I-10 verification. through the IRS form CP 565. So those of you on the call know who you are, where you're a non-US owner. If you have an I-10, if you don't have an I-10, don't worry about it. That this is not, it doesn't pertain to you. But if you do, you're going to get that verification off your IRS form CP 565.
Okay. My business is incorporated outside of California, but I generate the majority of my business revenue in California. Am I eligible to apply? So again, eligible businesses must have a physical address and operate in California. That definitely has some nuance to it, making sure probably that you're paying your taxes in California for the sales you're generating there. But yes, so as long as you have a physical address and you're paying taxes, I'm going to assume that you're eligible. Definitely one that we're still waiting for some additional clarification on. But I know a few people, this has been a question. You maybe have a Nevada corporation and you're doing taxes there. So yeah.
Are real estate companies, brokers / sales agents eligible grantees? Real estate professionals who practice real estate as their operating business and file Schedule C on their personal tax returns are eligible. So real estate professionals who practice real estate as their operating business and file Schedule C on their personal tax returns are eligible. Passive incomes, including passive real estate companies, and investors who file a Schedule E on their personal tax returns are not eligible. Real estate businesses in which the majority is greater than 51% of their income is rental income are also not eligible. So if again and again, another question, so Schedule C's count. So those of you who file Schedule C know who you are. Schedule C's count, but Schedule E's do not count. Schedule E's are not qualifiable. The income on Schedule E you cannot use for this application as far as income.
A government issued photo ID is a required document. Is a state ID allowed instead of a driver's license, or would other forms of picture identification be allowed? So yes, any government issued photo ID is acceptable. State ID or passport would be other forms that are acceptable as well. Okay.
So do I have to submit documentation to verify ownership? Do multi-owner companies have to submit for one owner or all? An application must be submitted by the majority owner of the business. Applicants will need to certify that the application is being submitted on behalf of the applicant by the majority owner of the application as a condition to receiving the grant. Only one business owner can apply.
Are the revenue thresholds for the grant amounts based on gross revenue? So yes, I know that yesterday and today we've seen some people asking questions about if I lost money in 2019, am I still eligible? It's based off of your gross revenue. So if you're looking at your tax returns, you want to look at these lines associated with this slide right here. And there's another slide earlier, and we'll send this to you as well. But making sure that, if, gross income or revenue minus all your expenses, maybe you lost money. I just want to make sure you're looking at it correctly. So go directly to these lines on your tax return just to see, what that is. And that will tell you how much you qualify for.
So if you own multiple businesses, can you apply for each business? So owners of multiple businesses, franchise locations, etc., will be considered for only one grant and are required to apply for their business with the highest revenue. So again, this will continue to come up. It's very common for a lot of people that have multiple locations and franchises and multiple businesses. You can only apply for one business, and the business that you apply for is the one that has the highest revenue.
If my business is a partnership or has multiple owners and some are low wealth and others are not, what is the percentage of ownership that must be low wealth? So again, right, that was one of the factors that they're weighing. So if you have to have owners that are of low to moderate income or veteran status, it's 51% of ownership to determine eligibility, right? So if 51% of that ownership is either in low to moderate income census tract, are veterans or veteran, or fit some of these other caveats, that's how you determine it. Okay. Oh, sorry, skipped over. So recap, so this is just kind of what we covered, and we're going to try to answer more questions. I'm also going to take you to the site so that you can see what that looks like and answer a couple questions, because the site can be a little confusing as far as partners and how they work. But again, this is where we want to start, right? So what do you qualify for? So if your sales are between 1,000 and 100,000, you qualify for a $5,000 grant. between $100,000 and $1 up to $1 million, you qualify for $15,000. And if your sales are between $1 million and $1 up to 2.5, you would qualify for a $25,000 grant. Okay. This is the site, careliefgrant.com. And we're going to take you there in just a minute so you can take a look and we can kind of highlight some of it. It's still being built as we speak. So again, it's not completely finished. The SBDCs, you know, we're here to help you in whatever. And I did see a lot of questions again about how much does it cost? Should I set up an account with Lendistry? You don't need to do any of those things. Services to help you through this application should not cost anything. All these things are free to you. So please don't spend money on somebody helping you do some of these different things. If you want to see another webinar, we're doing daily webinars. We do have them in other languages. So either for yourself or if you know of other people that need to hear it in a different language. The way we do our webinars is we do it in English and then have somebody translate slide by slide. So if you happen to want to catch it again, or there just wasn't enough information, you can definitely check out any one of these webinars and you'll get the link every day. It's already been sent to you. And if you need help from an SBDC, this is every SBDC spread throughout the state. There's 65 of our locations spread throughout every part of our state. So we are wherever you are. So we definitely want to help you. The telephone numbers are there. And like I said, we'll send this out to you directly. We want you to get connected to the closest SBDC to you, making sure they're going to have the best information for where you're located. So with that, let me stop sharing my screen and I'm going to reopen up the Lendistry website. Give me 1 second to do that.
So as Mike does that, there's still a lot of questions in here. We're over 500 now. We're not going to get to all of them, but we do have access for you to get a hold of us if you go to the californiasbdc.org website, or you go to californiareliefgrant.com website. You can find out those questions there. And then Mike's going to show you kind of what the website looks like.
Yeah, so this is the website. And again, it's careliefgrant.com. And so it's still being built, but it's all the information that we talked about, a little more consolidated and condensed. Hopefully we went through a few more things than what's here. So, and again, this is still being built, but the way this works is you do have to find a partner. Doesn't mean that you have to necessarily utilize that partner, but to find a partner, either click by county or by language. So let's just choose by county. And Scott's out of Sacramento. So we'll go down and find Scott's County of Sacramento, and you'll see all the partners that can help you. And again, all of this is at no cost to you. So if you went down to the SBDC and found us or any of these other partners, doesn't matter which one you go to, once this application is actually live, you'll click right on this application and it will take you right into the application. Right now, there's nowhere to take you, so it's a dead link. But if you wanted more information, to learn about the partner or partners, wherever you want to go. But on December 30th at 6 a.m., when you click on this link, it will take you right into the application. Okay. And so this will also give you news on the site about Lendistry. And so making sure that I know that there was some different spellings of Lendistry, just so you're aware. Again, they are a lender. They've been around for a long time. They're here to help you as well. But you do not have to necessarily have a bank account. I don't even think you can have a bank account with them. You don't have to have any of those different things. All of this will not cost you anything to apply for these different things. There's FAQs. There'll be more information as we go. If you want to find out a partner by language, you can do that as well. These are the different languages that are spoken by different organizations that are here again, to help you. None of this costs you any money. And it's more than just about this grant. It's about helping your business, right? So your business is closed. Your business is operating off of 20% of your sales compared to where you were before. All these organizations are here to help you, whether create an e-commerce site, thinking through strategies, understanding rules and regulations a little bit differently. That's why all of our programs exist, and we don't charge you anything for that. They're funded by the state of California, been funded by the federal government for a lot of us. We're here just to help you in whatever you may need. And one of the questions that we didn't get to, what if your business is closed right now? Can you still apply for the grant? We understand, and the state understands, that a lot of businesses aren't operating right now. You're going to sign, when you go through the application process, that as soon as these restrictions are pulled back and scaled back, that you will open your business. And so you will go through that process if you happen to be closed right now due to the state mandated stay-at-home order. that you will open again, or you're closed right now until we get through all this, that will be one of the questions. Just to kind of go through the pieces of the application. We don't have the screenshots yet. They're still finalizing the application, but basically it's going to be owner details. So everything about you as an owner or owners, terms and conditions about the grant itself. So you're going to sign off on the fact that you understand what they are. It's going to ask for business information. So where your business is located, EIN number if you have one, or social if you don't, where, and basic information about that. It's going to be information about the purpose of the grant. How are you going to use the funding? What are you going to do with it, right? I'm going to use it to support payroll. I'm going to use it to support rent or mortgage payments. So all the things that we covered. It's going to ask you eligibility questions, right? Making sure that you're under 2.5 million in sales, over 1,000, and then any other questions, making sure that you're in the right industries, that you're not doing things that, industries that aren't valid and eligible for this grant. It's going to ask you about your business demographics. So again, what is the makeup of the business owner? It's going to ask you for your NAICS code. There will be a link on there that will take you right to it. So NAICS code might be a little odd, but it's a classification code. So whether you're in, specialty restaurant, quick service, or you're in retail, it could be, so it'll take you right to the NAICS code. You type in what it is, it will take you there, and it will give you your code. Then disclosure statements, and then a confirmation. That's the basic framework of it. If you fill out the EIDL application for the EIDL loan, it's going to look very similar to that. Be a little bit nuanced to that, but it's going to look very similar to that. Shouldn't take you more than probably 30 minutes to fill this whole thing out if you have the information sitting in front of you. Okay. So again, this is the site. Scott, I don't know if you want to start, maybe we can go through some of the questions. I'll just start asking you some of the questions. And again, we might not know all of these at the moment, but we will try to get to them.
So there's a lot of stuff around government issued ID. So when it states we need a government business license, is our city issued license proficient?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it says if your business files one tax return with all locations, 8 locations, so again, we don't have the answer to that one yet, but we're hoping to get the answer to that as we move along through here. So will nonprofits submit grant applications directly to the state or to our local agencies?
So again, whether you're nonprofit or for-profit business, you're going to go right here on this site to find a partner, and you can go by county or by language. But let's say you go by county, and let's just say you choose Alameda County, which is where your business is located. You can choose any one of these partners. If anyone's helping you, you should probably go through that, but it doesn't ultimately matter. You click on application, and this will just say, click here to fill out the application. You click on the application, and it will take you right into the application process. Now, what that also does, let's say you went through Asian Inc., it will alert them to respond to you to say, if you need help with this, let us know and we will be able to help you. Same thing, you went through the California Hispanic Chambers, you go through us at the SBDCs, Kiva, all these organizations are here to help you. And again, it doesn't cost you anything for us to help you if you need the help. Some of you may not need any help, and that's quite okay, but some will. And even if it's just some small question, by clicking on whichever one, it will alert them that you're going through them and that you might need some help.
All right, okay. So a lot of nonprofit questions, a lot about churches and preschools and breweries, bars, stuff like that. So
yeah, let me just answer a couple questions too.
Yeah.
As you look at your 2019 tax return, there's an effective date of when your business started, and it's right on the top left-hand side. That will tell you when your business started. So I know there's been a lot of questions of whether I started in June or I started in August, or did I meet the requirement? It will tell you the effective date of your business on your tax return. Now, for some of you, it might be really close, and we definitely don't want to let us come back to you with an answer from Lendistry as to what they accept and what they wouldn't. But it is June 1st, and they're looking at your gross revenue, right? So keep that in mind. It's your gross revenue. It's got to be at least $1,000. That means active, right? Active sales, and that you're currently still active, even though your business may be closed. Might not be generating revenue right now, that you will as soon as these orders are lifted or you're able to go back to business. So, yeah. So let me see if I can answer any. Let me kind of go through this. Sorry, there's a lot of questions. They're trying to. So it says liquor store. So if you're classified as a liquor store, unfortunately, you would not be eligible. But if you're a convenience store, that's different, right? So make sure that you have the right classification for that. And if you have any questions, send us an email. We will definitely send it to Lendistry in the state to make sure that we can get you an answer. we don't want to we're not here to disqualify anybody. We're here to help as many people as possible. So if there's any way that we can help position you so that Lendistry will better understand your question, that's what we want to do.
So a lot of questions around the application. Again, it's not open till the 30th. Where can you apply? You can apply like Mike showed you this website. You can click on any of these for application that it says it opens on December 30th. You can apply there. Yeah, that's some of the questions that are coming out.
Yep. So let me just kind of go through
a lot of questions on the year. Again, if you filed 2019, they would take that. If you filed 18 but haven't filed 19, they would take 18. A lot of questions about like if you had more money in 18 than you did 19 and you want to use that one. We don't have that answer yet. We don't, some of the particulars and the intricacies of it, we don't have all those answers yet. We hope to have more of those answers as we move into next week.
Yeah. A couple questions around, which county you apply for. Maybe you're in multiple, it doesn't matter, right? You apply for whichever one you feel is the one that you should apply for. You're just, we're all California small businesses. And so you apply wherever you feel you need to. And then there's been a couple questions about bank account, which one you would share or which one you would use. Doesn't matter, right? It's just what you just want to make sure you're using one that's active, that is tied to your business. So for some of us, maybe you're using your personal account. We may want to have a different conversation at another point in time about doing that. But for now, it's perfectly fine to, utilize that one. And then there's been a couple questions around, you don't need to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning on December 30th to make sure you're in it. Again, what we want to do is share with you so that you have all the information in front of you. You can get through the application and you can do it correctly, right? That is more important. You don't need to be the first one in. There's no precedence or no, you're not going to get some special, special piece that puts you higher in the order. So you have until January 8th to fill this out. So fill it out correctly. Take your time. Make sure you do it right. That's more important. There's no special preference if you're the first one in.
So a lot of people asking if the tax question again, if you filed taxes, if you haven't filed taxes, if you started your business in 2020, if you started your business in 2020, you're not eligible. If you bought a business in January of 2020 and the business has been in business longer than June 1st, 2019, we don't have an answer for that one yet. But if you started a business after June 1st, 2019, you do not qualify for this loan. If you make more than $2.5 million on your 990s or your 1120s or Schedule C, then you do not qualify for this loan at this time.
Yeah. And other questions too, we'll be sending out FAQs as they change, as questions get answered. So we'll send them out directly to you. You don't need to necessarily come back to this unless you feel the need. We will update you though and have different webinars once we have the actual application, so we can walk you through all of it, so you can see all of the questions that are going to be there. Ideally, what I'd love to see is that you have all your documents scanned, you have all the questions filled out on a piece of paper, so that you can just upload it directly into the system once it goes live. That's what we would like to see, and hopefully that's how you'd like to do it too, so that you're not guessing on anything or having to go find some more documents. So you get halfway through it, and then you got to wait, maybe get kicked out. So we just want to make sure that you have everything there. For the nonprofits, a lot of people have asked, whose photo ID you need. We will get you that information, whether it's, your executive director or the chairman or, the board, we'll find out exactly who that is.
Some of these, so if you're submitting multiple questions or one question, try to make it like super quick for us to read. Maybe like a couple lines so that we can get to it very quickly. Some of these we've already answered at the beginning and through the presentation, so we're just clicking answer live. There's some questions around particulars around what's Lendistry's taking this and how the state working and all that stuff, and we explained all that before. And then again, if you go to California Relief grant.com, which is what Mike has here on your screen here. With that, you can find the FAQs in there. So they're updating the FAQs before they're updating anything else. And as you look at the FAQs, those are the best guidance for you at this time. And what Mike said is what we did yesterday is the same as today, which is the same as Saturday, Sunday, probably Monday. Monday might be a little different. There's some new updates coming Monday, Tuesday, and then everything, the first application goes live Wednesday. So if you joined yesterday, today, you don't necessarily need to join Saturday, Sunday, Monday per se. Let other people get in here and learn what we're teaching or talking about.
Yeah, a couple questions. One is on this California relief grant, going into different partners, it's all the same application. It's just who you go through. Doesn't matter. Ultimately you want to choose one that's either helping you or has helped you, but it's up to you to choose whichever application portal, but it's all goes into the same spot. So don't fill out two that might confuse the system. Just do it once. I have a lot of questions around sole proprietors. You definitely are eligible, making sure that you have some form of the right documentation. We'll get you what that is. I know that some of those, there's some that maybe weren't listed. We'll also give you our contact information. It's going to be in the email. We're going to send you a recording of this. We're also going to send you the PowerPoint. And on that, we'll have all of our contact information, either for Scott, myself. There's also, another 1,000 of us that know what they're doing. We're here to help you. Again, no one should be charging you for anything that you do here. So just make sure that you're not spending money for people to do some of this service for you. Let me just go through. We have a couple more minutes. If you received a grant prior to this, that's quite okay. You're still eligible.
Yeah, there's questions about different types of bank accounts. If it's not like a traditional bank or community bank, do they qualify like PayPal? There's some other online banks right now. At this time, we don't have an answer for that, but we are getting those answers to hopefully by next week.
Yeah. Another question about sole proprietors, independent contractors, 1099s. They are eligible as well, right? So everyone, on the categories I just said are all eligible with the right documentation.
A lot of questions around real estate businesses. As long as you have a Schedule C, you qualify. If you don't have a Schedule C and you do a Schedule E, you do not qualify. So any type of passive or income like that, if you're a real estate agent, insurance agent, if you have a Schedule C, you qualify. If you don't, you do not qualify.
A seller's permit would definitely work for verification. I know that's come up a lot. I'm sorry for kind of reading through some of this, but there's 500 questions. So trying to get to
the grant, you don't have to pay it back. It is taxable. So you don't have to pay it back. It is taxable. There is no paperwork to try to get it forgiven because you don't have to pay it back, but it is taxable.
So one of the questions was a limo driver with a TCP authorization. And I don't want to say yes or no, but my guess is that's the type of information they're gonna say is good. But let me find out. That's definitely a great question. But those are the types of outside licenses that they're trying to understand so that they can make sure that those are all good. But I would think you'd be good, but let me qualify that for sure. If 50-50 partnership, it's up to you to determine who applies, but just one person applies. So even if it's 50-50, you just choose one person, and that's the authorizing person. So you're only gonna have the ability to put one person's name. And so ultimately it's whichever one you choose.
A lot of questions about if you need the whole tax return. Yes, you need the whole tax return. So if you're a sole proprietor and you have a Schedule C, that's where you show all your income. You still are going to have to send in your whole 1040. So it's your full tax return. Mike, is it California and federal for the tax return?
So I was only told federal, but we will get you the answer, but I'm pretty sure it's just the federal. It's not your California tax return. And again, a lot of questions that I keep getting are, this is a confusing site. I understand. So when you go to CaliforniaReliefGrant.com, let's just say it's December 30th at 6 a.m. You've woken up, you're all ready to fill this out. You go to find a partner. Let's say you happen to be in Kern County. And so you click on Kern County, you choose whichever one you want. It doesn't matter which one you go through. Like I said, if somebody helped you or you want help from somebody, then you're going to want to go to their portal, but it all goes right to Lendistry. It's just, it's taking you through one of these partner sites in case you need some technical assistance with it. So it's alerting that partner, but it doesn't matter which one you go through. You go through whichever one you feel you need to.
Yeah, so again, the whole thing, you need all your taxes, all pages is taxes. If you started after June 1st, you do not qualify. June 1st, 2019, you do not qualify. Anything over 2.5 million, you do not qualify. And we can help you figure out if you qualify or not based on your gross revenue top line.
Yeah. Let me just go back. So if you're currently receiving unemployment, as long as you're a business and you fit all the qualifiers in 2019 and you plan on opening your business again, you qualify.
So again, we're Mike and I are trying to answer the questions as fast as we can. We still have 500 that we haven't gotten to. A lot of them are reoccurring though. So a lot of them are reoccurring. Hopefully you are going to get this recording so you can watch it and kind of go back and watch it all. But most of the questions that you have asked here have been answered in this call and in the call yesterday, and will be answered Saturday, Sunday, and as we move through next week. And then go on to CaliforniaReliefGrant.com. You can check that out. A lot of things around IDs and full taxes and when you start and the gross. Again, all that is on the website here. And
one more thing too. Oh, sorry. Let me cut you off.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Well, a couple of things that I've seen, I think several times is, maybe you changed your corporate structure or you changed your business structure from a sole prop to an LLC or vice versa. You are still eligible. They might come back to you and say what happened, but you're still eligible. You just changed your structure. You were still in business. You just happened to change the way you file. So that's all perfectly fine. So with that, we're going to stop here. Again, we're going to try to get as many questions answered as possible and send out information to everybody. And I know there's a ton of questions. Ultimately, hopefully this will become much clearer as you get closer to the 30th. And then we're here to help you. All these other organizations are here to help you with whatever you may need. I know it's the holidays, so it may be tight and tough to get a hold of some people because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of volume. There's 5 million people trying to figure out how to do this at the same time, 5 million small businesses. So, I would say be patient, but, we're here to help you. We're going to do this daily. If we need to do it more often, we will. Today, I think we have roughly, there's about 2,500 people on here. So, thank you guys for your time and, best of luck and, wish all of you guys the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for joining. We will be here. We'll send out as much information as we can and answer as many questions as we can. So thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.